Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Facebook Live. If you've ever experienced the struggles of colic, colds, or teething with your kids, then you're going to want to stay tuned in. And we are also giving away some great prizes today. So comment and let us know you're here. My name is Maureen, and I'll be your host today. And I also have with me Dr. Elisa Song. She is a holistic pediatrician, pediatric functional medicine expert, and mother of two. As a holistic pediatrician, Dr. Song integrates conventional pediatrics with functional medicine, holistic nutrition, homeopathy, acupuncture, herbal medicine, and essential oils, all great things. She founded Whole Family Wellness, an integrative pediatric practice, and is the creator of Healthy Kids, Happy Kids, an online resource dedicated to empowering parents to take charge of their kids' health naturally. So welcome, Dr. Song. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Maureen. I'm super excited to be here today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. Like everything that you do with your practice is it's amazing. So we're happy to have you on board today. Before we get into it, we just want to share a little bit about Moms Meet. So you can join Moms Meet for free and become a mom ambassador and sample free products by going to momsmeet.com. This event is brought to you by Boiron, the world leader in homeopathic medicines that offers some simple hygienic solutions for people of all ages. And during this event, representatives from Boiron will be responding to your questions or comments, so feel free to post any questions to them, and they'll be getting back to you through the comment section. So please speak up and let us know what you're dealing with your little ones at home. So like I said, we'll have 5 lucky winners during this party who will receive a Boiron Baby Well tote bag filled with Camilia, Colic Comfort, and ColdCalm Liquid Doses. Lots of coupons, a teething guide, and other goodies to keep your baby healthy and happy, and it's a value of $50. So great pack for any new parent out there. Yeah, so please make sure that you're commenting because that's how you can enter to win. So we want to know, as a parent, what has been the hardest part of having your newborns and you're growing into a toddler, and what you struggled with when they were little. So please feel free to ask and share with us in the comment section. And we will announce the winners on Monday. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit more. I'm so excited to hear from you and pick your brain a little bit. I have a 2-year-old boy, well, almost 2. In a couple weeks, he'll be 2. And then I have a baby girl due in December. So I'm about to jump back into the colic, the teething, all of that.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'm a little bit more experienced this time around, but I remember with my son in his early months, he definitely suffered from colic and cried morning, noon, and night for a few months there, which was really, really tough when you're not getting any sleep and your baby's in pain. So I'm sure other parents have dealt with this as well too.
For sure. I mean, this is something, and every baby's different. My daughter had terrible teething, but really not much in the way of colicky symptoms. And my son was just the fussiest sleeper. So I mean, they're totally different, right? They're 9 and almost 11 now, and right, everything does pass, right? They're doing awesome now. So.
Yeah, it does, but it's hard to see that when you're in it, that this will end and they'll be happy and they won't cry 24 hours a day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But, and so when my son was little, I definitely tried a few things with him, for his colic, setting him more upright after he ate and doing the bicycle kicks on his feet. But I didn't had enough information on how to help him and relieve his his problems back then.
Yeah. So, now, I practice integrated pediatric functional medicine, and there's such an amazing shift that occurs when you can incorporate natural remedies into your toolkit as a mom, right? And as a pediatrician. Since I've started really, when I started my practice in 2005, the reason we call it integrative is because it's not throwing out all the conventional pediatrics. It's really integrating the best of all these different worlds, all these different modalities to really help your child and you as a mama, the most effectively you can. And now as we're kind of heading into the cold and flu season and whatever this time will bring for all of us, since incorporating natural remedies into the practice for my patients and also for my own kids and for my family, for things like colds, coughs, and fevers, we all get better so much faster and with way fewer complications. So I'm so excited for this opportunity to share that all with you guys.
That's amazing. I know that when I first had my son, I was hypersensitive about the products that I was giving him. And, you want to err on the side of safety, and that made me not want to do anything. Just, so having homeopathy and homeopathic options out there is so great, because you can just feel better about what you're actually giving your kids.
Totally.
So what would you say, is the benefit of adding the homeopathy as far as safety wise to when your kids need something?
So that's a great question, because a lot of people confuse homeopathy or not confused, but use the word homeopathy and homeopathic medicines for anything natural, anything holistic, which it's not, right? It is a form of medicine, right? Is a different modality. So with homeopathy, substances are diluted in such a way that, when you actually get the medicine, so I'm going to show you one right here. This is one of my favorite medicines for stuffy noses, right?
I know that right now.
Homeopathic Nux vomica, right? So most of the homeopathic remedies are plant-based. So this is from a bean, right? But it's diluted in a way that you don't really get any of the actual substances in the medicine. It's what's the right word? I mean, it really works at that level, at that cellular level. And so they do such an amazing job of having the effect that you want them to have without causing any toxicity, because the substances are so dilute. There are lots and lots of great studies, right? Because some people would think, well, if it's so dilute, isn't it just placebo? It doesn't work. It's just a sugar pill. Not at all. Right. There are lots and lots of studies showing that homeopathic remedies can be amazing for things like fevers and flus and colds and ear infections in kids and, stomach flus in children. But on the other hand, because they're so dilute and because there really is no toxicity associated with them, there's no drug interactions, right? So if you are taking another medication, or let's say your child is taking antibiotics for an ear infection, but they're still having a lot of pain, you can absolutely use the homeopathic medicines together. And it's my preferred for pregnant and breastfeeding women and for babies and toddlers, because they're so safe and gentle. So this is really my go-to when I work with young children. There's different forms. We'll get into the different forms that they're available in, but they're so easy to give to kids. Older kids love the taste of these pellets, and then we have the liquid droppers that are so easy for infants and babies.
Yes, that's really amazing to have something that you can just feel safe about giving your kids, and especially as a pregnant person myself right now. The list of what I can take is, so long, but you still I want what you have in your hand right now, because I haven't been able to breathe out of my nose since I got pregnant. So, but having these options that you can really feel safe about is so important as a parent, especially your kid gets sick in the middle of the night. You don't have time to call the doctor, if you have a product that you can rely on to help them, it really is a great thing. Can we talk about colds? We're going into the cold season, and you know, as parents, we're probably all hypersensitive about any sniffle, anything that's going on with our kids. So can you just kind of talk a little bit more about, you know, what normally are parents dealing with this time of year with kids and cold?
Yeah, and you know, this year, of course, is unlike any other year that we've encountered, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some of our children are in preschool right now. Some of our children are at home with us, and you know, for the most part, what's really interesting is at least from March through now, when we were largely sheltered and our children were largely sheltered, but we weren't going out to restaurants with our children. We weren't taking them to the library or the parks.
Mm-hmm.
I hardly saw any colds and flus this past winter. Now we're
Mm-hmm.
heading into a new winter, right? And so we don't quite know what that's going to bring. And I know that many parents are just worried about, you know, being prepared, having some tools. So homeopathy is a great tool to have under your belt as we head into the cold and flu season. I don't know what this cold and flu season is going to bring. We'll have to see. You know,
Mm-hmm.
again, many kids in my area, in the Bay Area and near San Francisco, are still not back in school. So if kids aren't really back in school, they're not going to have the exposures that they typically do in previous years. So what we typically see, though, if this were a normal year, kids go back to school, right, August, September, and immediately that first week, there's a kid with a fever. Your kid comes home with a sniffle. They get a cough, right? Or they throw up. I mean, that's just the way it goes. And kids typically will get anywhere from 10 to 12 colds in a year, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, as their immune systems get, quote, trained and their immune system gets stronger and has more memory, each subsequent year, they tend to not get as many colds. Now, for colds, there's a couple of things that you can have under your tool belt, you know, for heading into the winter. And I teach parents and practitioners how to use homeopathic and other natural remedies for the most common things like colds and fevers and flus,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the office and online, right? And I have online courses to do that. But this right here, I know we're not talking so much about this right now, but oscillococcinum is, I would absolutely have some on hand. This has been shown to reduce the duration and severity of your flu-like illnesses, even if they're not influenza, but flu-like illnesses, in many different studies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there are individual remedies, like I, you know, showed you the Nux Vomica individually for when you have a stuffy nose, but you might have a stuffy nose and a really watery nose, kind of alternating, right? Or you might have a goopy yellow nose, in which case I might say, if you were my patient and you were calling me, I might say, okay, well, let's also use Allium cepa for the clear runny nose. Let's use Pulsatilla for the goopy, you know, goopy runny nose. Well, what Boiron has done, which is great, is kind of package these up into combination homeopathics. So there's this one right here, ColdCalm, which is for infants, that has, if you look in the back, I can show you, there are many different homeopathic medicines that are combined, so it actually helps take the guesswork out of it for you, right? There's the Allium cepa that I mentioned for the runny clear nose. There's the Nux Vomica for the stuffy nose. There's the Pulsatilla for the goopy yellow nose, and a bunch of other remedies. So, you know, when in doubt, this is what I would have my parents go to, right? And the nice thing about the homeopathic remedies for babies or for young kids is that this is in a liquid packet, right? So I'm going to show you
Yeah,
what that
that's
looks like,
perfect.
right? So you get them here in this silver foil, and when you open it up, there are these little vials. I'm trying to get the camera right. The little vials where you just tear off one of the packets, twist off the top, and you literally just drop it into your baby's mouth. So easy, right? And then for older kids and for grown-ups, right, you can use the pellets. Now, I've used these too, right? I travel with these, and when I've needed to use them and I don't have the pellets on hand, anyone can use these. It's just such a convenient delivery system for babies, though, right? But there are ColdCalm in these pellets as well, right? That is the same exact but in pellets. And a lot of kids love these pellets because, you know, they taste really sweet, right? So you have a couple of different options for you. You know, I don't just use homeopathy though. I mean, that's again, one tool that you have, and it's a great tool to understand and learn how to use. But there are other things that I think, you know, as parents, as mamas out there, if you're interested in integrating more natural remedies, there's things like, you know, cold care syrup is something I don't travel without. I don't know what kind of travel I'll be doing this winter. We may not be seeing family like in years past, but I would always have in my emergency, my first aid kit, the oscillococcinum I mentioned, the ColdCalm, and my cold care syrup, right? I use essential oils, acupressure points. If you're using acupressure points, there's one point that I want every parent to know. It's called large intestine 4, and it's right, you know, here in the web space between your thumb and your index finger, right here. Don't do this if you're pregnant, right? But if you, this is great for fevers, for headaches, for runny and stuffy noses, for sinus pressure. It's an amazing point. And you just, you know, go onto the back. I actually have, I demonstrate in the office. I also teach infant massage, but with my baby. So I have my little baby. So when you're holding your baby, you could actually have their little hand right here while you're holding them or nursing them. And then just in between their thumb and their index finger, you're just gently massaging, right? I mean, easy as that, right? For like a minute or so.
Now, what does that do? How does that benefit you?
So acupuncture points use acupressure use specific points that shift your immune system. They can help with pain. They can help relieve fever. They can help with coughs. And so there are different acupuncture points for different conditions. I mean, stomach flus, nausea, sleep, I've used acupuncture points. But of course, at home, you're not going to do acupuncture on your baby. But acupressure, you're holding your baby all the time anyway, right? Yeah. And when they're sick and crying and you just want to help them and do something, using acupressure points is just another way to use your touch lovingly and also therapeutically, right? And so you don't do it hard. I see a question about how hard you do. It's just firm pressure. You can hold it or you can massage it, right? But you want to do it fairly firmly. It's not a light touch, but not so that it really hurts, right? And again, for about 30 seconds, 60 seconds, I'll even often put a dab of like lavender essential oil on that point, just to really help calm. And lavender can help reduce fevers too. So lots of tools. But I want parents to be prepared because I mean, right, everyone, we know knowledge is power, right? When we don't have knowledge, that's when the fear starts. That's when we start getting worried. If we have that knowledge and we have these tools, the homeopathy, the acupressure, the different herbs that you might have on hand, then we at least know when our kid gets a fever and sick in the middle of the night, we can do something while we're waiting for the next day to call the doctor, right? Because the last thing we want to do right now in COVID time and pandemic time is rush to urgent care or rush to the ER unless we really have to, right? So having some tools, yes,
we've got to stay out of the ER.
Do whatever you can. I mean, sometimes we need to go, right? There is a time and a place for that, but with these tools, hopefully, with Mom's Meat, with Boiron, you'll get some tools that you can help reduce that need, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. So Boiron also has some other great products that deal with the other common things that we have with young babies, like colic and teething. I feel like my son, I don't know, like his teeth sprout out really quickly, and he didn't really have that many issues with it, but that is like not normal that he did. I'm sure my next one will be totally different, but I know a lot of my friends have struggled with the teething. So would you mind just going through those two products as well?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Teething, I mean, I can tell you, I mean, the reason I also know these work is not just from like, the thousands of patients in my practice. I mean, I use them on my babies, and knock on wood, my kids have been very healthy, but, homeopathy is a staple in our home. And teething, I mean, my daughter, when she went through her teething, I mean, it was like she would have these Jekyll and Hyde moments where I'd be like, oh my gosh, who is this thing that's taken over my baby, right? screaming and like, I mean, just inconsolable. And I remember one time, I was giving her a bath. I didn't know what else to do. She was crying. I took her for a walk. I went around, trying to get her to calm down. And of course, you don't necessarily want to be loading your kids up on like Tylenol or Motrin.
Right.
And in fact, if they're really little, you shouldn't be using those. And then the Oragel teething gel is not recommended because that can get absorbed systemically. And so I put her in the bath. I'm like, we just need a bath and to calm down, right? And I reached into my bathroom drawer and I found the Camomilla, right? I found these little pellets, Camomilla. I was like, all right, I'm giving her the Camomilla. I don't know why I hadn't thought of it before, but mommy brain and you're not sleeping. You're like, okay. And so it was there. And so I gave her the Camomilla pellets. I mean, literally within, I don't know, a few minutes, she was calm. She was playing. She was giggling a little bit. My husband came running in because he's like, what did you do to the baby? I'm like, look, she's fine. She's fine. So anyhow, so that's the pellets. But Boiron also has Camilia, which is, again, in those convenient liquid drops. And it has the chamomilla in it, which is really great for teething, that inconsolable crying where, temporarily they're better when you rock them or move. But then the second you stop, they're screaming, right? And also has phytolacca for some swelling in the gums, rheum, which is another homeopathic medicine that's helpful for teething. So again, these combinations are great because when in doubt, especially as a mama, when your baby's crying and you're trying to go through all the individual remedies to find out, well, which one do I use? And you're panicking, right? Having a combination can be great.
Yeah.
So that's teething.
And the best part is the ingredients that you're listing off, like, I don't know what they are, and I don't have the time to like get my degree in homeopathy. So I love that Boiron has researched and put these great products together that like us moms can just know that they have done all the research and these are the ones that we should be using for this particular issue. So it's such a user-friendly product right there. So
absolutely.
That's so nice.
Yeah. And then there's another one for colic, right? Now, colic, not every baby goes through a colicky phase, but some do. And it can be really hard, right? Colic, we know colic peaks around, 6 to 8 weeks of life, associated with colic, right? That's screaming for hours on end. Most babies have like a witching hour where moms will know, it's like 7 o'clock at night and it's starting, right? Babies have different witching hours, and typically associated with digestive symptoms, maybe belly bloating, or they're arching their back, or they're curled up. And sometimes if you can get them to pass gas, they feel better, right? Mm-hmm. So we know there's some digestive balancing going on around that time. Starts to get better around 2 months of age, which also correlates with when most babies start to smile, their nervous system gets more regulated, right? Their digestive system gets more regulated. But during those times, it can seem endless, right? If they're crying and you're driving in your car for like hours every night just to try to get them to calm down. For me, it was the yoga ball, right? Like bouncing for like hours.
Yeah.
At nighttime.
I walked back and forth from the front of my house to the back of my house to the front of my house.
Yeah, like your carpet gets worn thin, right? So with colic, though, we know in some studies they've looked at the stool of babies who are colicky compared with babies who are not colicky, and they do find abnormal levels of some inflammatory markers, one called calprotectin, the gut microbiome. Most of you have heard of the microbiome, and probiotics do tend to differ in babies who, are more colicky. And so there is one probiotic. I love probiotics, and I put all my babies, my newborns, on probiotics, especially if your baby was born by C-section, or if you needed antibiotics for group B strep, all necessary, right? But we want to make sure that we protect your baby's gut microbiome from the beginning. And so I tend to put all newborns on probiotics, but and it's Gerber Soothe that they use. And so I always put babies on probiotics. The Acupressure Point, right? Because I'm seeing a lot of mamas like acupressure, but when you're holding your baby. So this is, if you imagine, this is my baby's rib cage. Whoops, right here. Rib cage. Okay, right there. And then this is her little belly button. Right in between her belly button and the middle of her rib cage is CB12. And while you're holding a nursery, you can just put pressure on that point. Look, chamomile essential oil is great there. But then homeopathics, right? Because they're so safe and so effective, we have Colic Comfort, right? This is great. And you put the entire packet, right? I showed you that one liquid packet. This is one dose for your baby. So you put in, you squeeze all of the droppers into your baby's little mouth, and that's one dose. And you can give it, I mean, there's really, you want to give it more frequently depending on the severity of symptoms. And as they improve, you can decrease the frequency, right? So you might be, like if your baby's super colicky and you might be doing every hour until they calm down, right? And then every few hours. So Colic Comfort is awesome because it has 3 different remedies. Remember, you don't want to, takes the guesswork out of it for you. So my favorite one is Colosynthesis. Colosynthesis is for abdominal pain and shrieking where the baby's like curled up, really gassy, and they may have some diarrhea. Like if they can pass a poop even, it's like so much better for them, right? And then Carbovegetabilis and Cuprometallicum are also really great for when your babies are very colicky. So again, this is, convenient. You just, pop it in their mouth while they're screaming, right? And then just know, okay, during this time, right, when your baby's crying and colicky, one of the most important things as a mama, though, is to just try to calm yourself. Now, the Colicky Phase, right, there's a little honeymoon phase right when the baby's born where you're like, oh my gosh, they're not crying. I feel good, right? At the 2-day mark, I look at mamas and they're glowing still, right? By the time they come in for their 2-week visit, the bags, I'm tired, like they're not sleeping, right? And then by that 1-month visit, it's just, the fatigue is set in, right? And you're not thinking. I remember going grocery shopping when Kenzie was 4 months old. And, I got into the parking lot of Whole Foods. I went grocery shopping and I drove home and I'd left all of the groceries in the parking lot, right? I just you're not thinking, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're stressed because your baby's crying and you're stressed because you're sleep deprived. So in that moment though, when you're holding your baby and they're crying, right, it's so important, right, to bring your shoulders down and breathe and just slow your movements down, right? Because if we're stressed, we're like, okay, baby, stop crying, right? And then our baby's feeling our adrenaline and it's like, ooh, so much, right? So if you need to, right, at that moment, give the baby to your partner or your mom who's there and just say, I need a break, right? I need to just go into the room and cry a little bit, drink a little chamomile tea or whatever you need, take a shower, right? Do that because you will be better able to be there for your baby and for yourself, right? That's so important because that colicky phase, I had one baby that went through colicky phase, one that didn't. And, I feel you guys, right, who are going through colickiness. So really important to take care of yourselves.
Yeah, it's such a good lesson to remember. Yeah, and these products are so amazing. I'm going to run out and buy them right now.
We want to be prepared, right? Because you guys know as mamas, when things happen, it happens at night, right? When Whole Foods is closed, when your pediatrician's office is closed, right? You just want to be prepared, right? If you're prepared, then you might never need them, but at least you have them, right?
So true. Very true. So if anyone's interested in learning more from Boiron, you can head over to boironusa.com. And then you can also head to the Moms Meet Coupon Center because we have a $2 off coupon, which is good for the Camilia liquid doses. And that's valid through the end of December 29th. So we covered a lot. I feel like I've learned a lot and I've put a lot more into my mom toolbox right now, just talking to you. And I feel good having had this conversation right before I'm about to have my second. But let's see. So is there any other advice that you have for moms who are just starting to navigate their baby's first year?
It's such a challenging time right now. um, especially now, right? I think that
Mhm.
mamas often don't have enough of a community anyway, right? We don't have our village to support us. We live apart from our parents and our grandparents to support us, and we're all so busy. And then right now, with the pandemic, it can feel even more isolating. So this is where online communities like Moms Meet and other avenues for you to stay connected is so important. I think, for mamas out there right now, I would say the number one thing to really focus on, and in fact, I focus on this always every day, is to let go of any guilt that you feel. Right. I mean, as
Mhm.
mamas, that mama guilt it can be crushing at times. Right. I wish I had known this sooner. I wish I didn't do X, Y, and Z. What if I had done this during my pregnancy? And there's all this, what ifs that we just have to get that chatter out of our brains, right?
Mhm.
As we think about this little baby in our arms and growing up and how we want them to feel beautiful and confident and brave and secure in the world, we need to model that ourselves by making sure that we learn how to, give ourselves that love, right? Because sometimes, I mean, and not just sometimes, almost all the time, the most negative words that we hear about ourselves is from ourselves, right? That
Mhm.
negative self-talk. So we need to shift that around so that we can show our babies it's okay to love ourselves. It's okay to take a break, right? And we're here together. But I think, the guilt, whatever you feel guilty about, because I know mamas always have something to feel guilty about, just learn to let that go.
That's great advice. Yeah. Um, so everyone watching, please let us know what you found most helpful from our interview today and keep sharing your thoughts and your questions. I know that our rep from Boiron is answering them right now and will continue to answer as the time goes on. And don't forget to head to the Moms Meet Coupon Center to clip your $2 off coupon for Camilia Liquid Doses, and then head to BoironUSA.com to buy your products. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and Dr. Song, thank you so much. You've helped me. I'm sure you've helped every mom watching. I really appreciate you sharing with us about homeopathy and Boiron and some good natural remedies that we can have, especially going into this cold and flu season that we have coming up, and just for new mamas out there as well too. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks, Maureen, for having me. It's been a
So
pleasure. Great to see you guys.
great. Remember, everyone, keep sharing, liking, and commenting for your chance to win the Boiron prize pack, and we'll announce the winners on Monday. So thank you again, Dr. Song, and thank you, everyone, and we will talk to you later. All right, bye, everyone.